It is time to catch up on the mortgage market. We have seen mortgage refi demand up 94% year on year, purchase demand up 3% week on week. We have some impact already being felt because of the NAR settlement. We've got mortgage rates down to 6.4% and falling. What says Matt, the mortgage guy? What do you got?
Man, there's so much stuff to talk about in the mortgage world. So I'm excited to get into it with you. First and foremost, what I want to remind people, when you're like, mortgage rates are down to 6.4%, for whatever reason, and I think that, for good and for bad, media does a lot of marketing for us, right? Mortgage rates are down. They're at the, year lows. They're the lowest they've been in 14 months. People hear that and they get real excited. And then I'm doing a deal yesterday and we're structuring it at 6.25. They're like, they're that high? I thought rates were a lot lower. And I'm like, listen, we went from 6.7 to 6.4. Media exploded. And granted, it's a headline grabber. You as the consumer like that information. You like to read it and you click on those. So they're going to make it a little bit dramatic, even though the truth is, and this is interesting too, I looked at some data where purchase applications were inching up as mortgage rates are inching down. And so inching is the key word. Things aren't moving fast, but it's good. And on that note, like you said, mortgage applications on the purchase side are up 3% week on week. And up 3% week on week, down 4% year on year. Let's just call that flat. Where we're seeing a humongous spike, obviously, is refinance, where it's up 94% year on year. Here's a cool stat for you, Mike. There's this report, and I'm not sure who does it. I don't remember. In the money, meaning a refinance makes sense to them. At today's rates, they estimate 2.5 million people. If rates go to 6%, that number is 4.7 million people. And if rates get down to 5.5%, that's 7.2 million people, quote unquote, in the money for refinance. So I've said it here. I've said it on my channel. Make sure, I just recorded a video on my channel. So subscribe to Matt the Mortgage Guy. Look for a video that says refinance math is the thumbnail. The title is, should I refinance or should I wait? I go through a break-even analysis in that video. And I want people to watch that video, whether you're going to use us or not. Some form of that break-even analysis is something you've got to do, because you can't just look at a refinance and say, me save 300, me sign. Don't do that, right? I'm saving X. It's costing me, whether it's out of pocket or rolled loan, it's costing me Y. Y divided by X equals the number of months it's going to take me to break even. If that number is 47, that's a no. If that number is 10, that's a yes. And quite honestly, Mike, I've backed slowly but surely away from giving people advice, and more I'm just giving people options.
The math, yeah.
And for some people, they look at it and they go, 21 months. I don't know if rates are going to come down. This is really going to help me. It's a yes. Other people, 21-month break even. No, thanks. I want it to be 18 or lower. I want it to be 12. That's fine, right? I'm not going to answer that for you, but you have to know that number, and you have to take that number into the context of, if I put $6,700 into this new loan, which again, people think out of pocket is the only way to spend money. You can spend money by adding to your principal. It's still a cost, right? And so you're adding that, you're saving X per month. How many months is it going to take to break even? So a lot of those conversations, when there's 2.5 million people in the money, there's a lot of those conversations going on. Make sure you're talking to one of the good guys.
Yeah. Again, there's no secret that I have a distaste for what I'll call the big call centers, right? The call centers who are just running down and just jamming people. I'm going to say it. I think there's a lot of bad refis being done right now. The 47 months, to use your example. And to me, that's very distasteful, but you know what's going on. All we could do is provide education. All I could do is provide access to good people, right? Which is what I do at One Rental at a Time, try to filter out the frauds and the scammy people, and, try to give them access to, you here, the Matt, the Mortgage Guy. Because you're going to give them the data, you're going to educate them a little bit, and then you're going to let them decide. So I appreciate you being here each and every week. I know one of the things that you do is you do a great job for your loan applicants because you also work with agents. And that's going to be particularly valuable for the next conversation because we've had this NAR settlement. It's been about a month, certainly been 3 weeks. I'm curious what is going on. What are real estate agents saying, not saying, open houses, signing, buyer agreements. It is fun. It's different today than it was a month ago. So what's going on?
Yeah. And for some people, it's mass confusion. And
I bet.
And the reality is it's not really confusing. It's just for a lot of agents, it's conversations that they didn't have to have.
Correct.
Or it's conversations they didn't have to be good at. All of that stuff is bubbling up. And for buyers, I think it's a great opportunity to, they get to, it's more transparent. They get to see, oh, my agent is being compensated 2.5% to represent me as a buyer. If you're a great agent, it's really easy to show your value to a buyer and say, listen, you can go out on your own. Or you could, work with somebody else who might offer these services at 2%, but I've been doing this for X number of years. I've negotiated 400 transactions. I'm going to go out there and get you the best deal, the best terms, make it a smooth process. In that process, I'm going to make sure you don't get into a bad deal. I'm going to make sure that there's, a great inspector who I know who's going to inspect this deal. And so worth their weight in gold when you have the right agent. What I'm seeing is it's so crazy, Mike. And all of a sudden, sellers, I think, might be the most confused because they see it as just I'm saving because I'm getting half price. I used to pay my agent to sell it and the agent to bring a buyer. Now I only pay agent to sell it. What they're missing is it's always been baked into the price, and it still is, right? If the market is willing to pay you $540 minus 2 different agent commissions and your net is this, what makes you think that you're going to still get $540 and only pay 1/2? And so it's interesting conversations are happening. And so I think more than ever, it's just important to have a really great agent who can explain that stuff to you and walk you through it. When there's no compensation being offered by the seller, for great agents, it's easy. You submit an offer after you've made a phone call and you go, listen, we're willing to do $540, or we're going to do $535. 2.5% is what's being paid to me. Present this to your seller. If it doesn't work, all good. My buyer, they're not paying that 2.5% to me. They don't have those funds, or they don't want to spend those funds. So if this doesn't work for you, and in this current market where there's a little bit more inventory, it's great because stubborn sellers go, no, $540. My agent gets paid. I'm not paying the buy side. Cool. Call you in 2 weeks when you're still in the market. And so like,
it is really interesting when the ruling came down, it was a hot seller's market. It was implemented or scheduled or whatever in the start of a buyer's market. And you're absolutely right. This is wild. We've been in the craziest seller's market for 3 years. Like if this got implemented in 2021 or 2022, dude, sellers would get half off.
Right.
They just would because it was that hot. Now as we're in a buyer's market that is only going to get worse with seasonality, a presidential election, yada, 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 a stressed consumer, you're going to watch a lot of sellers go, whoops, maybe I do need to pay somebody.
Right. And that's the thing is it's like anything else. Who cares about the rates as an investor? You're doing math to do a deal that makes sense. Who cares about who's getting paid as a seller? You're worried about your net proceeds. And for sellers who have, a conversation with the listing agent goes, hey, listen, my goal is to get you the highest net. Do you want the highest net? Yes. Okay. Well, based on my 17 years of experience, the highest net is going to come when you offer an incentive to somebody to bring a buyer. Still your choice, still negotiable, but this is what I've seen. And I told someone the other day, who was worried about having to pay it as a buyer. I said, from what I'm seeing, it's between 90 and 95% are still offering like to pay for that buy side agent. And those that aren't selling. And even those that aren't saying I won't. They're just saying, initially, this is how it's structured. If you want to bring me an offer, go ahead. The great agents that can communicate, that have great relationships, they're winning. They're helping their clients win because they're just going out and saying, hey, let's put together a deal that makes sense for everybody. And they're talking, they're communicating.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. At the end of the day, I think the whole buying and selling a house got harder because of the NAR settlement. Maybe it got better. Don't know yet. I think it's harder. I think all of us are still trying to figure it out, myself included. I have never bought a home or frankly sold a home in this environment. So we'll see what we see. But at the end of the day, I know mortgage rates are going down. We did call the refi boom, which is something else we got right on this channel. It is up 94%, which is no doubt a boom. Rates are falling. I don't know. Have you had a quote sheet this morning? I saw the 10-year note was down 6 basis points. Did you get a quote sheet today?
I think we're up 15 or 16 basis points. I'm sorry, 15 or 16 point betterment to rates. So that's, most rate sheets, you need 30 or 35 to go down to eighth in rate. So it's mortgage rates are slightly better. They'll be slightly better today. But it's an inching game where we're getting slowly better. Consumers are still confused. They think September 18th is a big day. That's already priced in, right? We already know that's happening.
Amen.
And I'm warning people, if you hear the news that the Fed cut the Fed funds rate by 25 basis points and then call a loan officer and they say mortgage rates went up, don't be surprised, right?
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting time. To your point real quick too, about it's harder to buy homes. People are more confused than ever. There's a lot of economic stuff going on. There's presidential election. People are scared. The buyers that I'm talking to are going to be in a good position to negotiate, which is where you want to be as a buyer. I don't know what that looks like in Q1. I don't know what our economy looks like. I don't know what rates will be exactly. But if you're operating in an environment where people are scared and there's less demand, if you're in a position to buy a home, you are going to find yourself a deal. Especially, if like some of these sellers, I was looking at it as rates tick down. There's this interesting dynamic. This is something I was thinking about too, Mike. As rates tick down, demand starts to tick up, and you've got some unrealistic sellers that were priced too high that I think are coming down to earth. So at the same time, I'm seeing two things happen. I shouldn't have been priced at 625. I'm coming down to 599. I only was comfortable at 575. Rates got a little bit better. I can go to 600. And so I think like those worlds are colliding, because I'm seeing, like you do in these times, a lot of these 44 days on market, 52 days on market, all of a sudden the deals are coming together. Sellers are coming back down to earth. Buyers are a little bit more excited with lower interest rates. And so transactions are happening that way.
Oh, I love it. At the end of the day, if somebody wanted to reach out to you, talk about a refi, talk about what's going on, how do they do that?
Go to greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out the quick form. Me and my team will be in touch. It's the best way. If you text me, email me, go DM me somewhere. I'm going to try, and I hope I respond to you. But if you go to greatmortgagebroker.com, fill out the form, we're going to know exactly who to connect you with. We're in 48 states. If you're in California, I got your back. If you're in Florida, I got your back. If you're in one of the other 46 states, you'll be immediately connected with someone from the team that can help you. If you're working with somebody on my team and you want to talk to me, I've got somebody right now who's doing a deal in Vermont. And I said, let's jump on a Zoom call. Let's, because it's this refinance to purchase more real estate. And I'm thinking about doing stuff in the future. We've got a great team, and I know that the people on the team will take great care of you, but I'm more than happy to jump on a call with you. So greatmortgagebroker.com, get in touch.
You're amazing. And don't forget to check out his YouTube channel, Matt the Mortgage Guy, with all the education, all the answers, all the up-to-date information. Thanks, buddy.
Cool. Thanks, Mike. See you later, brother.